Hey, good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever it is. My name is Chase Cunningham, Dr. Cunningham, Dr. Zero Trust, whatever. Let's get into cyber stuff because cyber is the most important thing that I do. Anyway, article in Foreign Affairs: China is winning the cyber war. America needs a new strategy of deterrence. And this is from Ann Neuberger, who formerly was at the White House doing White Housey things and running orgs and whatever. So let's read through this. American companies are world tech leaders in technology, be it innovative software, cloud services, artificial intelligence, or cybersecurity products. Sure. Yet, beginning as many as 3 years ago, probably way more than that, just saying, hackers believed to be backed by the Chinese government did something in the United States, the tech powerhouse could not adequately defend against. They've been doing stuff like that for longer than 3 years. But anyway, they gained and maintained access to major U.S. telecommunications network, copying conversations and building the ability to track the movements of U.S. intelligence officers and law enforcement agents across the country. The attack, dubbed Salt Typhoon, continued as part of a global campaign against telecoms, and it penetrated systems at many U.S. carriers so thoroughly that officials will almost certainly never know the full scope of the capabilities China achieved to spy on Americans' communications. Salt Typhoon was more than a one-off intelligence success for China. It reflected a deeper, troubling reality. Mere decades after the widespread adoption of the Internet Protocol, or the Internet, opened a new realm of geopolitical contestation, China is positioning itself to dominate the digital battle space. The United States has fallen behind, failing to secure a vast digital home front and the physical assets that depend on it, because cyberspace has no borders. Only if someone had said that before. The U.S. homeland is always in the fight. It's a digital battlefield. Every hospital, power grid, pipeline, water treatment plant, and telecommunications system is on the front line, and most of the United States critical infrastructure is unready for battle. Okay, so Ann Neuberger is Frankie and Arthur W. Payne Distinguished Lecturer at Stanford University, Distinguished Visiting Fellow at the Hoover Institution. Before she served as the Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emergence Technology on the U.S. National Security Council in the Biden administration. She spent over a decade in various leadership roles at the National Security Agency. She knows what she's talking about. However, here's something to take away. 3 years, this shit's been going on way longer than 3 years. Salt Typhoon was just the most, I would say, overt identification we've had in the last few years that this thing actually was where we think it was. As far as them being embedded in our telecom system, we have lots of Huawei 5G. They are deeply embedded. We have lots of routers that we bought from Walmart and all these other places that are manufactured in China that all have backdoors in them. The communication technology that I'm using right now to record this podcast has backdoors built into the firmware, the software that we're using. I expect my information is compromised. It's just how things are. I'm glad that she wrote this article, but my other question would be, you folks have been appointed to run these organizations, and you had 10 years at NSA. Okay, great, leadership, whatever, awesome. But what did you do? Like, what was the outcome that we should expect as a tax-paying American to benefit from all that effort that was put in place? We don't really see in here where they're saying anything other than kind of the same crap we've heard before. Salt Typhoon was a sophisticated multi-stage operation. It gained administrator access, telecommunications networks. The attackers exploited flaws in U.S. telecom companies' cybersecurity products, such as firewalls, and used passwords when in unrelated hacks. Once inside, the hackers installed malware and hijacked legitimate process and programs to maintain control. The attackers then used computers, servers, routers, and other devices they had compromised to move across. Gosh, that sounds like lateral movement. That sounds like the same shit that we've been talking about for decades on end. And people are still sitting around here going, we have to do something. We have to come up with a different approach to this problem. We need a new strategy. Dude, you're nuking it. You're making this way too complicated. There's simple fixes here that will make a vast difference. But it has to start at the leadership spot. And I'm talking directly now, if you people happen to listen to this, to Sean Cairncross and the other people that are now leading these organizations. I'm a taxpayer and I'm sick and tired and fed up with the way that this stuff has been run. I'm begging you, I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, please start doing something in cyber that is actually effective, that is empowered, and that is going to change the way that things are working. Because what we're doing currently fucking sucks. And you people at the top are the ones that are holding the bag for this. And whether or not y'all want to accept responsibility, and there's a whole other issue there, it's your deal. If you accept the leadership role, by God, it's your problem. So do something about it. The continual, like, well, I don't know much about cyber. That shit don't fly. You took the role, you've led, apparently, other organizations where you probably weren't deeply experienced in the solution. Lead in cyber. Get us doing something. We will not deter China or Russia or the hacker in his mom's basement with the way that we're currently doing things. Give CISA title authority. Change the way that we're doing stuff. If you want a new strategy, reach out to people like myself that will gladly offer to help the United States for free. Or continue doing the same stupid shit that you've been doing and think that it will be different, because it won't. We are being put at risk. Americans will die. Americans have died because of cybersecurity activities and because of a lack of leadership from the top. There, I said it. Read this article and tell me that there's something in here that is shocking to you or is shattering, because it ain't new to me. This is par for the course, man. Yes. So Zscaler wrote this article. Firewalls and VPNs expand your attack surface with public-facing IPs. They're exploited by bad actors more easily than ever with AI. Then they have this nifty little button right here that says Discover Zero Trust plus AI. How much marketing can we do? That's from Zscaler. You know what? Just because I can't do it on that particular tab because I'll show it and then I'll be in trouble. Let me go on the tab where no one can see. For those that are wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm going to log into Shodan because Shodan is awesome. And I'm going to basically do a little looky-loo for things that might be related to Zscaler vulnerabilities and issues. Globally, when you type in the word Zscaler, I get 110,000 results. Let's go look a little deeper. In the US, 52,000 of them. Top ports, lots of 80, fine. 443, expected 8080, sure. Let's look for products. Zscaler Cloud Services, Zscaler, nice. Remote Desktop Protocol, well. RDP, and some of these Windows 11. Let's just go look at this Windows 11 thing. And if you're wondering why I'm looking at different cameras, it's because someone told me at Black Hat to step up my game. So I'm trying to have multi-cam shit because apparently I'm less ugly if we use different ones. Here's SSL for certificates tied to a desktop protocol. Someone named Jeff is logging in here. Frontier. Let's see. This is in Hapag. I want to say New York. Oh, Zscaler Diagnostics. Literally, I'm looking at the Zscaler diagnostics thing. Zscaler Diagnostics with the login on a Windows 11 10.0.261.100. Great. And maybe one or two of those is honeypots. It's very possible, but whatever. Just for the hell of it, let's also see what organizations might be engaged here. Zscaler itself, Inc., has got 43,419 of these that are out there. So Orange County Public Schools, Department of Education, U.S. Department of the Treasury, Health System, that's a hospital. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, AstraZeneca, Humana, Goldman Sachs, Deere and Company. Right. This is what I would say is a good proof of just what it is when a company markets stuff, and they'll throw every buzzword at the thing. But man, firewalls and VPNs expand your attack surface with public-facing IPs, but we have zero trust in AI. But you have a bunch of vulnerable shit. Dark Reading has this article. Cybersecurity spending slows and security teams shrink. Security budgets are lowest in healthcare, professional and business services, retail and hospitality. Budget growth remained above 5% in financial services. Cybersecurity spending is beginning to slow this year, with average security budgets growing 4% year over year, just half of the recorded growth in 2024. That's according to 2025 Security Budget Benchmark Report from IANS and Artico Search, 580 CISOs, et cetera, et cetera. Nearly all CISOs reported security teams are understaffed or low on staff, citing hiring and budget constraints as the primary cause. But there's 3 million unfucking filled jobs, and there's AI all over everywhere you go, and there's people looking for work. I can give you the resume of 10 of them right now that I would hire. So where is the shortage? How is this possible? What is the deal with how this is playing out? Because the math ain't mathin'. The CISOs of companies and industries that are experiencing growth are prioritizing spending on cloud security solutions and identity and access management enhancements, as well as SecOps. Yeah. For organizations that are not experiencing growth, some are turning to AI to fill the gaps, taking up roles that ordinarily might be done by entry-level security professionals, enabling more senior analysts to focus on higher value work, which is fine. But my question still remains, how is this working if there's all these unfilled jobs and then there's all these cool AI solutions and technologies? Like we shouldn't be having shortages. We shouldn't be having things not being funded and lined up and whatever else. There's a discontinuation, a disingenuity. I don't know what the word is, but there's a disfuckery going on here that is legitimately concerning for what we're doing and how this is working. And none of it makes sense. But yeah, Zscaler, you guys might want to check out your stuff too. Just okay, if you're back or you paid attention through the rest of it, we're back again. And if you notice this on video, I'm changed my clothes because I had a bunch of shit happen yesterday and I had to go take time to go solve those problems. So I had to, jump back in again. And I do change clothes, at least once a week, shower twice a month or whatever. So sometimes that happens. Anyway, let's get back into this. So pen test reveal top 5 most impacted industries in 2025. Interesting. This is in Cybercrime Magazine. So there's a full report from BreachLock, which I will get, but their 2025 penetration testing intelligence report, which is kind of cool, released this week, analyzes over 4,200 pen tests conducted over 12 months. It's a lot of pen tests, uncovering the most prevalent critical vulnerabilities. Now let's see where the rabbit hole takes us here. The threat landscape isn't just evolving, it's accelerating, etc. with the rise of vibe coding and agentic solutions, says their CEO. Here are the key findings. 40% of financial firms have increased penetration testing frequency. Cool. 70% of vulnerabilities detected in healthcare systems were medium and high severity. That's not good. Largely due to widespread use of legacy systems and inadequate OT security controls. Gosh, that sounds like that could be a violation of best practices. Just a thought. Technology and SaaS providers are the most impacted industries in 2025, followed by banking and financial. Their report was included in the 2025 DBIR. If they actually have a YouTube video here, I'll post that link for you as well. Let's see if we get any more of the key findings. Yes. Broken access control emerged as the most prevalent critical vulnerability. 32%. 2025, still dealing with access control. APIs, 400% spike in critical vulnerabilities. 7 in 10 retail customer goods organizations had APIs misconfigured and exposing data, averaging about 15 vulnerabilities per API. Super awesome. 70% of vulnerabilities in healthcare were medium and high just because of legacy. Cloud misconfiguration and excessive permissions were present, 42% of environments tested. Again, we're in 2025 and people still are leaving things bobo misconfigured, still taking care of access control. Some of the other issues that we're dealing with are kind of stupid, if you ask me. Anyway, let's get into more of this. So, Hacker News, Ermac, version 3.0 banking Trojan source code leak exposes full malware infrastructure. This is always good because you get a bit of a look behind the curtains of the bad guy world, and you can kind of understand how they build stuff. So, if you look at this and you research it, you could potentially, if you're not a moron, build your defenses to stop this because we have a source code leak and they're telling us kind of accidentally how we should defend ourselves. So let's read. Researchers have detailed the inner workings of an Android banking Trojan called Ermac 3.0. The newly uncovered version 3.0 reveals a significant evolution of the malware, expanding its form injection and data theft capabilities to target more than 700 banking, shopping, and cryptocurrency applications. Yikes, Android users. Ermac was first documented by Threat Fabric in September 2021, detailing its ability to conduct overlay attacks against hundreds of banking cryptocurrency apps across the world, attributed to a threat actor named Duke Eugene. Funny name. It's assessed to be an evolution of Cerberus and BlackRock. Okay, so here's some pictures, source code components. Okay. Hunt.io is some of the folks that did the research here. So here's functions of the components that are listed for this source code leak. Backend C2 server does C2 stuff. Front end panel, DIR exfiltration server, Golang server used for exfiltrating, so Golang, and Ermac backdoor, an Android implant written in Kotlin that offers the ability to control the compromised device and collect sensitive data based on incoming commands for the C2. So nothing too crazy different here, but if you're using an Android, it sounds like the majority of the applications that might be touching that, they're doing banking, crypto, or whatever, potentially are compromised. So be very, very careful. All right. So Wired has this article. I read the Politico article about the breach on the court system. I find Wired's actually pretty good at doing deeper research. So let's just see what they say here. The first federal cybersecurity disaster of Trump 2.0 has arrived. Okay, so again, I'm not a political animal. I don't give a shit about all that stuff. However, this didn't happen on Trump's watch, I guess you could say. This has gone on for a long time. And it just so happened that they're the ones in office when the breach is finally notified. I will guarantee you, I bet my left foot, this goes back to like Bush 2, maybe earlier than that. The second Trump administration has its first federal cybersecurity debacle to deal with. Meh. A breach of the United States federal judiciary electronic case filing system discovered around July 4th has pushed some courts onto backup paper filing plans after the hack, compromised sealed court records, and possibly exposed the identities of confidential informants and cooperating witnesses across multiple U.S. states. So here's like a tangential kinetic effect of the cyber side of things. People are saying, oh, cyber is not kinetic, whatever. Okay, so play along with me here. So the court system that has this potential confidential informants information, and I have lots of friends that are cops. Some of them are detectives. They work with CIs. Cooperating witnesses are a very real thing. That's been compromised. The information with those sealed records has been stolen or hacked or however you want to call it. Now, that does a few things. One, it makes people less willing to be CIs because there's a risk to them. They might get fucking murdered. Two, it also calls into question the court cases that are currently pending or will be pending because of the fact that in court systems, if the data itself is not proven to be secure, like if you've ever done chain of evidence stuff, I'm a certified hacking forensic investigator. If you've ever done chain of evidence stuff, it's very, very document heavy. It's very, very specific on how this stuff works. If someone introduces, even if signature is missing on a chain of evidence form, the whole thing can get thrown out. So court cases could be tossed out because of this compromise. So this is a big, big problem. More than a month after the discovery of the breach, and in spite of recent reports from the New York Times Political that Russia was involved in perpetrating the hack, it's still unclear exactly in which data systems were affected. It's a month on. We should know. Like, that's not cool. Politico first reported the breach of the Case Management Electronic Case Files, or CM-ECF system, which may have impacted criminal dockets, arrest warrants, and sealed indictments. Yikes. The CM-ECF system also suffered a breach in 2020 during the first Trump administration, and Politico reported on Tuesday that in the recent attack, hackers exploited software vulnerabilities that remain unaddressed after being discovered 5 years ago. In response to that first incident problem, first 5 years ago, there was a hack. People found out about it. Nobody did shit. And now it happens again. Not cool. Security researchers say that gaps in public information about the situation are concerning, particularly when it comes to lack of clarity on what data was affected. Yes, I would totally agree with that. I'm not in a federal court thing right now, but my father is going through a divorce. And if you're dealing with, records in that space, it can be very contentious, especially if something is compromised. In response to a request for comment, the United States courts referred Wired to its August 7th statement, which says the federal judiciary is, quote, taking additional steps to strengthen protections for sensitive case documents. Oh, good thing you've done that 5 fucking years after the first compromise. And further enhancing security of the system. Go to hell. The courts also mentioned that the vast majority of documents filed with the judiciary's electronic case management system are not confidential and indeed are readily available to the public. That's not the point here, folks. That's not okay. And they do concede, quote, some filings contain confidential and proprietary information that are sealed from public view. The Department of Justice did not immediately respond to requests for comment about the scope of the breach or who perpetrated it. Reports this week that Russia was involved in the attack or maybe the sole perpetrator have been difficult to interpret, given the indications that espionage actors backed by multiple countries and possibly organized crime syndicates may have been involved in or piggybacking on the breach of their own exfiltration. Yep. News of the breach comes as the Trump administration has continued to slash the federal workforce, including combining intelligence cybersecurity agencies to remove officials or pressure them to resign. More political bullshit. I'm not even going to read it. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. So problem, as I already described, pretty clear to understand that. But then the other thing is, like they're saying here, attribution is exceptionally difficult to do in cyber. One, because no one with a brain in their head just attacks from their fucking machine in front of them. They go from a machine in Dubai to one in Brazil to one in Toronto to one in Omaha and then launch the attack from there. So being able to even find them is very difficult. And then two, like they're saying here, you could say it's the Russians, but then again, APTs, everybody everywhere is engaged in cyber warfare. Everybody everywhere is engaged in cyber espionage. And you can guarantee if this is an overt uh, vulnerability, that's pretty easy for somebody to get, especially 5 fucking years of not fixing it. The Chinese are in there, the Russians are in there. God only knows who else is in there. Like, it's just totally infected. And then how would you know who's doing what? So yeah, that's not cool. And if you've ever wanted to see that states, again, don't really understand what the hell they're doing in cyber, here's one last one for you. So Ohio mandate requires local governments to establish cybersecurity programs. Good fucking luck. The regulation comes amid increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. No, not really, but offers no new funding. So there you go. So that's awesome. We're going to mandate it. We're going to require it, but we're not going to provide any funding for it. So go fuck yourself. Dive brief. Ohio passed a law, and I'm actually going to look at the law that requires local government, school districts, and water authorities in the state to establish cybersecurity programs to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber attacks. Good luck. Localities must also report cyber attacks to the Department of Public Safety within 7 days of the breach. Yeah, super. The new regulations restrict local governments from paying ransoms from cyber attacks without first getting approval from the legislative authority and publicly outlining why compliance with the ransom is, quote, in the best interest of the local government. Yeah. The legislature approved the mandate, which goes into effect September 30th without any state funding. So you wrote the law, you put it in place to a bunch of organizations and agencies and localities that don't have the money for it. You didn't approve any money for it. And now you're going to hold them to account when they get it wrong, which they will. This sounds awesome. This sounds like a really smart way to do things. There were 859,532 complaints of suspected cyber crimes in the U.S. last year, according to the FBI crime report. That number is down 2.4% from the year before. Hooray! Hashtag winning. However, reported losses from internet crimes were 16 billion, a 33% surge. Fuck. Ransomware attack in Columbus, Ohio compromised the data of 500,000 people last year, and a cyber attack on Ohio health system may cause a system-wide tech outage. In July, Columbus, Ohio approved a $23 million investment in its IT infrastructure to bolster its cybersecurity measures, but you didn't authorize money for this other requirement. Yeah. While Ohio is not offering additional state funding for municipalities to implement cybersecurity programs, it is offering, and here's the best part of it, what are they offering? Free annual cybersecurity training. Awesome. We're not going to fix anything, and we're not going to offer money for those things that need fixing, but by God, we're going to give you that fucking training. Cyber Ohio, a government agency that coordinates all cybersecurity activities in the state. So this is a foundational component of cyber risk reduction. Great. So Ohio, stand by for the cyber butt destruction that's coming because of your approach. Butt destruction. Yeah. Anyway, here's the law, and I'll share this too. Ohio laws and administrative rules. Section 9.64 is what this is. It takes effect December 30th. And this is, it's a page, right? Okay. So as used in this section, cybersecurity incident means any of the following. This is where the legalese comes in here. A substantial loss of confidentiality, integrity, availability of a covered entity's information system or network. Okay. A serious impact on the safety and resiliency of a covered entity's operational system and processes. A disruption of a covered entity's ability to engage in business or industrial operations or deliver goods and services. Super. And a couple of other things. A supply chain compromise, sure. Cybersecurity incident does not include mere threats of disruption as extortion events perpetrating good faith in response to a request by the system owner or operator or lawfully authorized activity of the United States, state, local, tribal, or territorial government entity. Ransomware incidents defined here. Legislative authority, blah, blah, identify, yes. Best practices, it may include, but are not limited to the following. So this is really, like, even the legislation that's written here is written in crayon. Like, this is dog shit, if you ask me. I don't know who wrote this, but they ought to be dragged on the street and beat with a wet rubber hose, because there's nothing in here that's actually valuable. And this, to me, is part of the problem that we deal with everywhere all the time in this country. You've got people that don't understand cyber writing laws that aren't enforceable. They're not going to provide funding for it, other than they're going to give you fucking training, which will fix everything. And then they're going to basically say that you have to do these things in a time frame that's not doable, so that you can actually, not fix the problem. I mean, there's so many better ways to deal with this than what is written right here. Like this is written in crayon. It's really stupid. And I feel sorry for the people of Ohio, especially for the people that are going to be required to respond to this because they don't have money. They don't have the capabilities and resources. And the only thing that their government is doing is writing laws that are going to nail them to the cross and then blame them for climbing up there. Anyway, there's a lot of content in this week. More stuff coming. I filmed a bunch of stuff at Black Hat. If you're listening, thank you very much. If you're not listening, then that doesn't matter anyway, which, whatever, Chase. More to come. Working on a new studio, so it'll be like all professional and stuff. So we'll see where that goes. As always, stay smart, stay safe, stay secure. If I can help with something, please reach out to me. I will catch you on the next one.